Onward. Let's bring in Elijah. And the whole reason for this conversation is Elijah's new endeavour, the Songwriters Handbook, which is exactly what it sounds like it is. It's a guide, a creative muse, an instruction manual for people who want to write songs, whether you are an experienced, seasoned musician or whether it's your first go. This will definitely help. And it's a beautiful thing as well. So I really wanted to chat to Elijah, who is a friend of the show.
Been a busy bee. I've started a couple of different things this year, one of which is a podcast called Songwriting for Songwriters, in which I've been sitting down and talking with and having conversations with some really amazing songwriters of note and distinction, such as Chris Difford from Squeeze and Susie Quattro, Steve Harley from Steve Harley Cockney Rebel, Jamie Lawson, Catherine Williams, Scott Matthews, loads of people and producers as well, such as Youth. And really it's just been, the whole point of the podcast is to celebrate the art of songwriting and to get to know what people's processes are, their techniques, the stories behind their songs, their relationship with their inspiration or their muse, if you like. So there's just kind of deep dive conversations specifically really about songwriting and songwriters. And so that's been coming out every week on YouTube. And then also I've been running a weekly kind of songwriting challenge, each week setting a subject and a theme and asking writers to explore the theme in their own imagination and write a song. So there's been that going on YouTube and on streaming sites. But I've also kind of written a book called the Songwriters Handbook. And the basis of the book really has come from the YouTube channel. So there's 52 subjects or themes to explore, and I ask the reader questions about these themes and explore them myself and kind of suggest things and give prompts for songwriters to think about, to find the seed or spark of a song idea or lyric idea or creative idea. And really the thing with it is, the feedback I'm getting, there's some quite kind of, if you like, famous songwriters who picked up the book and are really engaged with it. But there's also people that have maybe never written a song, or they've written some songs in the past. And then there's parents who've been picking up copies for their creative children and just saying they're really engaged with this, because it's not really me giving a lecture about songwriting. It's me trying to kind of ignite the inspiration and creativity within other people and getting them to think differently, explore themes, and hopefully connect to their creativity.
This is amazing. I'm sure there is nothing like this out there. I mean, as someone who isn't a songwriter yet, obviously once I've read your book, that will change. But I don't know if there's anything out there like this at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest with you. It's just one of those things where I was driving to my parents' house in early January, and the ideas just came all at once. The idea for the songwriting podcast and the weekly challenge in the book, and it just happened in about 3 minutes. And I thought, right, I'm going to do that. And as inspiration is an unruly and elusive master, it just all came at once. So I just began doing it. And like I said, I think it is quite unique, to put it that way.
Well, it's almost like it's a creativity muse catalyst.
Yes, well said. That is what it was intended to be. And so, I've had people actually that have picked up a copy and they don't consider themselves to be creative, but this couple, I know, they got bored one night and they just started reading it. And so they, instead of writing a song, they just found out more about each other by kind of going through the exercises, reflecting on what they felt about different things. So in a way, it's almost like a conversation starter as well as like a creative tool. So you don't have to be a songwriter. But it's obviously aimed at the songwriter market, but it's for anybody really who's into the idea of being creative, and also anyone who just likes to deep dive life and the human condition.
And it's also a poetry catalyst as well.
Absolutely.
I know your songs are particularly, the lyrics are particularly important, and you often publish your lyrics alongside the music.
Yeah, that is very important to me. I'm one of those people who grew up listening to, I was a massive fan of the Beatles, for example, where they're commercially and melodically great, but they also have something to say. So that's, there's that kind of arty commercialism is the kind of thing that we've always aimed for with the band. So yeah, words are really important to me.
And this is it isn't just a guide, it's an interactive journal as well.
Yeah, basically there's space after each exercise or subject there's space there to write down your lyrics or ideas. And it's interactive in the sense that, it's nothing without the person reading it, really. It's about the interaction between what I'm saying and what comes up in your imagination. And then it's down to whoever if they're inspired, to write a piece of music or write a song or lyric or just have a think. And there's also the opportunity that if somebody does write a song or lyric, they can then upload it to my YouTube channel, Songwriting for Songwriters, so their work can be heard by a growing community of songwriters. So it's interactive in that sense too. It's not just, the end point isn't just reading it or creating something. There's also a platform emerging for people to share their work. And actually, Andrew got in touch with Philip to say some of the people that have been played on their BBC Introducing show have actually come from these challenges that I've been doing. So they've actually received songs that have come from that. So that's really heartwarming to hear that people are actually getting radio play from an idea that was just an idea,
That's Elijah from The Gravity Drive talking about his new endeavour, his latest endeavour, the Songwriters Handbook. And it is exactly that. There are 50 topics with very delving questions and then some listening suggestions. We'll go back to our conversation with Elijah very shortly. Let's hear a track from The Gravity Drive. This is Hits Like a Fix. I really love that song. I'm a big The Gravity Drive fan. There they are with Hits Like a Fix. And lucky us, there's more to come from The Gravity Drive after part 2 of my chat with Elijah from the band, whose new endeavour, the Songwriters Handbook, is out now. It's a muse, a hand-holding experience to the journey of creativity when it comes to writing lyrics, songs and poetry, and it's just full of wonderful conversation starters, if nothing else. So we've been in conversation with one half of The Gravity Drive tonight on the show, that being Elijah. Elijah has now turned his hand to inspiring other would-be musicians in their songwriting endeavours. He's written a book and it's going down exceptionally well. It is called The Songwriters Handbook, and it's exactly that. It is full of ways to inspire your creativity when it comes to putting lyrics down. It's a workbook as well, and it's full of great song listening suggestions as well. I mean, it would be such a wonderful project just to do, even if you don't want to write a song at the end of it. It's a really good conversation starter. So I've been chatting to Elijah about the fact that not only is he into his own creativity and his lyrics are very important to him and his music is a big part of what he does, but now he's sharing that love and I guess becoming something of a teacher.
Yeah, it's kind of strange, I during the lockdown I did a lot of co-writing with Chris Difford, actually, from Squeeze, and some other artists, and I'd never really co-written outside of my own band or with Ava, and this whole world opened up where it was just different. And so he's one of those chaps who gives a lot back. And I wouldn't say I didn't kind of think I'm going to give something back. But through a lot of the showcases and open mics that I run, you are helping people and you want people to kind of succeed at what they're doing and you want to give them tips and advice. So rather than kind of form it into, I'm going to tell you what to do thing, I just thought, actually, what I really love is writing songs and creativity and chasing that muse, because it's, like I said, it's elusive and there isn't really a way to capture it, but here's some ideas that can unlock the door. And if you like, that's important to me. It's about connecting people to their inner world, because a lot of us really, we go about doing work and do what we need to do, but sometimes our kind of true selves are in our imagination or where we play or dream. And that's, I don't know why, but that's really important to me, to kind of allow people the space and the freedom to access that and to share it. And if this book is anything, it's just a kind of hopefully a tool to help people access that and explore it.
And can I just clarify, is it all about the inspiration for lyrics and actual song words? It's not a practical guide to learning to read music or anything like that?
No, it's not actually, because one of is more to do with the idea of it.
Yeah.
You could write a song about this or explore and words, because one of the things I decided to do, I'm not a trained musician, and I know loads of people that aren't trained musicians, and quite a few of those people are super famous. They've never learned the scales. Now, I'm not against that, because that's really good to learn the technique. But when I was starting out, some of that stuff felt like mathematics to me. It was too much to kind of understand, because I'm not that kind of thinker. So I had to learn differently, self-teach myself. And along the way, I developed my own style. So I kind of decided that in terms of the musical side of things, it's really down for people to kind of find their own thing. And I didn't want to like imprint my understanding of music to whatever extent that is upon them. I wanted them to explore their creativity and imagination, and that will impact the style of the music, the sound of the music. For example, one of the subjects is autumn, and so that does have a feel already, which might make you think of certain sounds or certain kind of other songs. And in the book, actually, I include 5 songs that are written around the theme that I suggest for people to go and explore. So there's some moods there. So there is some suggestions of music and songs that have already been written around this subject for people to go and think about.
That is a brilliant playlist in itself, just the songs in the book.
Yeah, actually, good point.
Very different genres as well you've picked. Songs from all eras.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I think, as you know, as a DJ, that you can fall in love with something from the 50s right the way through to something from yesterday. So it's important to spread, to me, to just say that songwriting is so important and has been in the 50s, and it's still important now. And in this age, sometimes where there's like sometimes 12 songwriters on a track, you can forget that like Jimmy Webb on his own wrote a big song, or Paul McCartney on his own wrote a big song. And collaboration's great, but also songwriting needs to be, I think, in the age of streaming platforms where songwriters don't particularly get celebrated. My whole thing at the moment is to try and bring attention to celebrating the form of songwriting, but also encouraging it.
That's remarkable. And it's been really well received so far, hasn't it?
It's been really, the feed, because one of the things when you do these, whether it's a record or a book, is, you have to do it for yourself to get it out there. How it's received is like completely up to you have
everyone
no
else.
Control over it whatsoever. So, but it's been really good just to hear. One of my favorite things to hear was just how engaged like kids were that are 13, 14, 15. Yeah. That's really important to me, because they're the next generation of songwriters. So
I think this is a good exercise for schools. I mean, it's a really structured, helpful way to tap into your knowledge of yourself that you don't necessarily access all the time.
It's interesting that I had a piano lesson a while ago. I thought I should learn to read music, and I went to a piano teacher, and she taught me some keys, and I was really trying hard, and I wasn't getting it. And then she said, "Okay, well, how would you write a song then? Tell me how would you write a song." So I looked up on her wall and went, "Well, there's a picture of a boat up there on the ocean. So it looked stormy. So I'd create something which had a stormy feel, and I'd play piano like this and make it sound like a little bit ominous, but then a little bit light because there's a boat dancing on the waves." And she just was like, "I don't understand how that works." So this is the idea really, that in schools, the British culture is full of great filmmakers, artists, songwriters, and we forget that sometimes because, the funding for these things gets crushed because it doesn't seem that important. But if you look at the creative industries, they're hugely important to British identity, the multiculturalism, and I just think it needs to be celebrated more, really. So that's another aspect of it.
Do you work with schools at all, or is that something that you might do?
I've had some interest actually from a school body, and I would be very keen to kind of, if there's any teachers out there or anyone who's listening, to get in touch, because I do think from the feedback I've had from parents and this school that got in touch that they're kind of suggesting it could be very useful, and a kind of, I don't know if it's curriculum or whatever, but just I think it would be very good for people, English and music and art.
Yeah, I'm amazed, because it's actually, when you think about it, I mean, I know that you've obviously soul searched to come up with all these incredible topics and brilliant song suggestions to listen to, but it's quite a simple concept, really. Right, sit down and think about this. And I like the idea of couples or families, this is something that we could give each other for Christmas, and open it up around the table and say, right, tell us a story with this topic. It's something that's a huge conversation starter.
Yeah, that's something that's thank you for saying that. I mean that's a byproduct of like what the
Yeah.
feedback I've been receiving.
Yeah.
But it is that kind of thing because, for example, there's subjects like father or your mother
Yeah.
or your childhood or unrequited love or colours.
Colours
And
is, I mean, a whole poetry book has just been published in Worcester, and the inspiration for all the contributors was just colours. And so,
yeah.
you know, and that's just one of your 50 chapters.
Well, it's one of those things where you think about colours. You've got a favourite colour, but why have you got a favourite colour? You know, why is it? Was your kind of favourite dress that colour? You know, what colour reminds you of somebody? Why did they remind you of it? Tell us the story. Oh, my granddad used to wear that blue shirt, and he used to always have an ice cream or something, or he'd be feeding the horses. So there's a bigger story behind the colours. You see, the colours is the starting point, but behind that is a whole load of stuff which you might have forgotten about or you might want to think about. And so it is a conversation starter as well as a creative tool to access yourself, you know, and that's what this is about.
It's wonderful. Elijah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you think this will lead to more books?
There is some interest actually in a couple of things, like maybe another version and also capturing the conversations I'm having with the other songwriters as well. So we'll just see how it goes. But a door's been opened, which is again, the muse is inspiration. I didn't know I was going to do this in, you know, the first week of January, but by the second week it's sort of happening. So it's good to just follow the thread of the calling, if you like. Yeah.
Well, lucky you that you've got the discipline to sit down and do it. I've been trying to write a book for 30 years.
No, keep going.
I haven't given up yet.
Good. If anyone's up for getting a copy, they can get it on Amazon or on Kindle, or they can email me info@thegravitydrive.com because some people have rather cutely asked for signed copies. So that is where it can be found. And the Songwriters podcast is on YouTube and all streaming platforms as well.
That's wonderful to know. I think the whole marriage of the platforms that you use, the videos, the YouTubes, the blogs and vlogs, the music and creativity of yourself, and the importance of your own lyrics, and now this, you're kind of merging all the arts together. You'll be painting pictures to go with it next.
Well, yeah, I do have an art college background, so it might be.
Aha.
Yeah, so I mean that did inspire the book in some ways, because when I was at art college, you put something up on the wall, and then the tutor would come around with the rest of the class and they'd critique it and ask you why you'd done this and what was the meaning behind it. So that background did also come out actually in the kind of formation of the style of the book.
Well, there you are, living on the Dorset coast, loving life, doing all this to help everybody else as well, and you know, bringing art and creativity as to make a living from is actually a really, I was going to say lucky position, fortunate position, because luck doesn't necessarily mean everything, because you've got to work at it to get it, right?
Yeah, I think there's that great saying about luck is when kind of talent and persistence meet. You know, there's that thing where it's persistence that, you know?
Is very important.
It's massive. It's like the Ricky Gervais said about the when he was someone said to him, "Oh, The Office was an overnight success," and he said, "Yeah, overnight success. It always takes about 10 years, doesn't it?"
Yeah, and I'm learning so much about that. You know, that it's the work that you put in. You don't get an Olympic gold medal by accident. You know, it's
no.
Not,
I think with all these things, whether you're a DJ, or a plumber, or an artist, you just chip away at it day by day, but then you're 6 months down the line, you've got 3 songs or a local radio show playing you once a week or something. So everything takes some kind of persistence and chipping away at something.
Well, I would be absolutely delighted. It'd be a privilege to play a Gravity Drive song now. Is there one particular one that you'd like me to play that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, I think there's a new song actually called Instant Sunshine, and it's a collaboration we've created with a producer called Aura, and it's come out on a US boutique label called Universal Star Creations. And so this is just something that was a left field thing for us, because we wouldn't necessarily produce something like this, but we were given the kind of backing track and just did something completely out of our comfort zone in a way. It's very commercial and poppy, quite inspired by Prince, and quite a summertime hit. It's a track called Instant Sunshine.
What do you think? It does have a kind of Prince feel to it, doesn't it? Well, I'm a big fan of Gravity Drive, and we've just had a really lovely, indulgent chat with Elijah, whose latest endeavour is actually a book titled The Songwriters Handbook. You can get it everywhere. But if you do want to have a look on their website for a bit more information, it's thegravitydrive.com, and we wish him all the very best of luck with that book. If you are looking for creative inspiration or a gift for someone else who might need or want or like and enjoy some creative inspiration, then that is the book for you or for them. I think it's a beautiful thing, actually. It's full of, it's almost a poem itself. Almost